Hey, happy Friday, y'all. Yay. Yeah, it's actually Friday today. I kind of got confused during the week. We're going to go backward in this. I've tried to do this video like 7 times today, and I've tried to do it 3 more when I got home, and the struggle is real. You know, I admit, I'm fucking ADD, and I got issues with trying to keep track of stuff and what I've talked about and what I haven't talked about. So we're starting fresh, and we're going to talk about it. Today's Friday. Yeah. What was it, yesterday? I talked to my mom. I'm expecting a package. I said, is it going to get delivered right to the house? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we had to run around with UPS. Had to call the actual distributor and be like, okay, is it coming straight to the house? Because it's medicine, right? And, yes, it goes straight to the house. I said, are you sure? Because UPS does some freaky shit. And I don't want to have to drive 53 miles to go get this medication when I know there's UPS stores that are closer if I just use different address. Because I have 2. I have Mama's and mine, right? So the guy's like, oh, I see what you mean. I was like, yeah, so if it's going to her house and they decide that the UPS store that they want her to pick it up from is in Cookeville, I do not want to have to drive all the way to Cookeville to go get it. He's like, I see what your point. Yeah, he's like, yeah, check on that for me. So we figured it out. But I thought yesterday was Friday. Because I'm flaky. Anyway, we ironed that out. So it's there. It did get delivered right to the house. And Mama's got it in the refrigerator. I'm starting GLP-1. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Let me tell you about my crazy week. So, nothing real eventful other than karma. Karma. I love karma. Anyway, karma's been sprinkling on these people for a minute. And the other day, finally, it reared its ugly head. It just goes to say, you know what? Fuck around, find out. So, one of the guys, he gets loaded, goes over to this job, this contractor who have targeted me directly, right? He gets over there, he's mixing his load, he's slumping it. Next thing you know, he's like 6 black SUVs and a bunch of ICE agents get out and the whole crew scatters. He was the fucking craziest shit I've ever seen. I was like, are you kidding? He goes, yep, detained them all except one who had his papers on him. You're kidding. And he's like, nope, not kidding. They canceled the order. I was like, yeah. Praise Jesus. I was working in the office. I was like, hey, karma. I was so happy. Anyway, moving on from that. So, then we got this guy. They rehired him. Why they rehired him, I don't know. He's a pain in the ass. And he sucks. And he's awful to work with. Awful. Anyway, we got this one contract. They have said more than once since we've started this, do not backwash your drums on this job site into the washout area. It is too much water. We do not have the means of being able to accommodate that. Not to mention, the mix doesn't really require it. There are certain jobs where they do this big pit and they want us to backwash because we use chemicals, and those chemicals have a tendency to build up if you don't backwash it and rinse your drum out into the pit to get most of the chemical out. That as you get loaded with these turn and burn jobs, going back to that job repeatedly, that chemical will build up, and you'll start off with a 4-inch slump and your next load will be a 5-inch slump, and they're not doing anything different in the batch house. It's that chemical is building up. By the time you get to your 6th round, you're rolling out on an 8-inch slump. And you've not backwashed That is because that chemical is building up in the drum and it's adjusting the mix. And now you're too wet. That kind of thing. So, this particular job does not require a backwash discharge. So, this kid pulls up next to me after we get done finishing pouring out, and he backwashes. And I'm thinking, okay, he doesn't know any better. We'll correct it after. No, I get up top of the catwalk. I wash my chutes. I wash my thing. About 2.5 minutes later, I happen to look over. He is still discharging water out. I take my hose and I spray his window. And I mom scold him. No. Get out. Fix that. So anyway, I get back to the, let me mark that one off. We covered that one. Covered the finishers. Now, we get back to the batch guy. And I'm like, what the fuck, Chuck? And I explained to him exactly what happened. And I was like, is it that, nobody's got the balls to fucking correct anybody around here when they're doing fucked up shit? And he was like, yeah, apparently not. I said, well, I've got the balls. I wear them on my chest. They cost me $5,000. And I'm definitely getting my fucking money's worth. This job. And he almost fell back in the chair laughing. Just dying laughing. I was like, there, crack the fucking whip. He's like, if he says anything, I'll correct him when he comes up to me. I was like, all right. So, we got that one. And now, this fucking guy that I work with. All right, we're called like 3 misfiteers. We're misfits. We all sign into a plant and park our trucks at a certain plant, right? Nothing happens there very often. It's like a dead plant. But we grab our trucks and we go and, he pulls up me and sends me up north, or he'll send me down south, or send me over here, send me over there, and I'll work out of that plant all day long. And then if my plant happens to get something in the afternoon, they'll open it up. I'll do a couple loads out of there, and then I'll wash it out and go home, right? That's kind of the normal thing, right? So I did 1 load out of there. I came back from, wherever, and I said, are we washing? He's like, nope, not yet. And I was like, okay. And I've got this one's going to pull apart. I'm just going to show you. Yeah. They're not permanent. These will brush. I could brush them out. I just don't feel like it. Anyway, yeah. Comes with the territory. Anyway. So, he comes up with a tanker bar and this crowbar. And I'm like, we got to weigh our trucks, right? It's the end of the month. We weigh them every month, right? And he says, he's carrying this stuff, and he's like, do you got, and I wasn't even paying attention. I was like, are you trying to give your truck a diet? And he just started, ha, 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 yeah. He goes, that rubber thing up there? And I was like, yeah, I know the rubber thing. He's like, I got these 2 big balls. And I just start busting out laughing. He's like, shut the fuck up. And he just walks away. So I start singing the bridge. My balls are held for charity and some for fancy dress. That part. Anyway. And he's like, he is cracking up. He is just dying laughing. And so I said, there's a funny story I got with that song. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, really. I said, this is the dry humor with my kid. All right. So my niece, who is extremely autistic, ADHD, who has pipes, she can sing. She's an amazing singer, and she taught herself how to play guitar, right? So anyway, at my sister's wedding, they had a karaoke thing, and so I had I don't know, I think I might have sang The Pot, and then she got up and she sang Big Balls. Anyway, and everybody's got their phones out recording this because she's doing all of the flexions and everything. She's like spot on, right? And we are laughing, we are dying because she's up there dancing around and acting all a fool, right? So my daughter has this on video. And she posts it on Facebook, and the caption under it says, "Sorry, Graham." So that was the funny for the day. Anyway, so I told him the story. He was like, "That's hysterical." I was like, "Oh God, you got to see the video." I mean, just, yeah. Anyway, so talk about GLP-1. All right, so my sister, who is type 2 diabetic, she was on Ozempic for a year, and it did nothing. And they put her on another medication, which I was watching a content creator happened to mention this medication. And I was like, yeah, that's the one, right? Because I couldn't remember what she had told me. But as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, I know that's the one she was talking about. Once they put her on that, weight started coming off, right? But she's no longer insulin dependent. So she doesn't have to, she still wears the glucose meter, just in case. But she doesn't have to do regular insulin injections like she had to do before. Because the Ozempic had helped her pancreas and her body wake up. And she's no longer, like, insulin resistant, like, bad. Now me, I have become insulin resistant because of hypoglycemia. So, here's what happened. I become insulin resistant. I did keto. I was hypoglycemic, which means I would eat something, hyperinsulinemic, it would, whatever I put in my body, it didn't matter if it was a fucking boiled egg. I could do my blood glucose in the morning, and it would be high. And I was hoping that, because I had dawn effect, that my body would eventually, like, bring it down. It would be mildly high, like 120, 130, right? Would bring it down. Nothing. It wasn't until I ate the fucking boiled egg that my insulin would turn on, and within 30 minutes, my blood glucose would drop. My fingers were so sore because I was trying to track this. And at the same time, I had started doing keto. So I'm not eating sugar. And I'm not eating carbs. And I'm waking up with a 130 blood glucose. Right? I'm like, this shit's making sense. This isn't making sense. So, I did great on keto though. I had to endure the high blood sugar in the morning. I lost a shit ton of weight. But after a year, my body got used to it, and the weight started coming back on. And I haven't been able to lose it in any kind of natural capacity since. When the weight started coming back on, I ended up getting involved with the narcissist, okay? So here's where the different dynamic comes into play. I get involved with him. I start to have this flooding anxiety. I am jittery anxiety. This man is like triggering, you know, my intuition. I should have listened to it, right? However, at the same time, when you are dealing with the hypervigilance and the anxiety at the same time, you've got two hormones battling it out. You got cortisol and adrenaline duking it out. My adrenals were just full tilt boogie all the fucking time. I wasn't sleeping. I was working nights. I was taking care of his house, taking care of my house, taking care of his kid, working my crazy job, all at the same time. And like, quite literally, when I left that relationship and I got home, this is what has happened. I've literally gone into this state of self-isolation. I sit home. At first, when I first got here, I wasn't even eating. I was literally drinking myself to death, and like, I would eat soup, right? And then, why is the ring going off? I don't know, I don't care. Anyway, and then, a few months down the road, someone else came into my life and he started triggering all of this shit. And I'm like, you fucking get gone, right? Long story short, 3 years later, the cortisol went up, but there's no adrenaline to fight it off. So, I got this hypercortisol thing. I got this hypervigilance thing. I've got this aftermath, this physiological anomaly that occurs when someone is put through that kind of abuse. There it is, right here. You're looking at it, right? So, for a short time, somewhere within this 3-year period, I had gone 6 months. Totally clean eating. Tried to do the keto again. Did not drop 1 fucking pound. Not one. Not one. I avoided beer. I only did the gin and juice because it's actually a healthier component. The wheat product or the grain product in beer has a lot more carbohydrates than the grapefruit element. And it's the unsweetened stuff. So, fructose, you can go on all day. You go watch Dr. Berg. We know about fructose. But if we're going to do this. Keep the carbs down. Anyway. And I can make them as strong or weak as I want. So, it got to a point where even when I had quit drinking, God, through this 3 years, I had quit for an extended, 3-month period. Did not drop 1 pound. Not one. So that's not it. Crazy work schedule. I was working days. I was getting plenty of sleep. That's not it. Same activity level. That's not it. So what was it? It's got a lot to do with my metabolism. I have even begged for them to check my thyroid. They do piss poor job at the VA for, monitoring any kind of testing in that regard. A TSH does not a thyroid panel make. Sorry, y'all fucked in the head if you think so. So, she didn't do any more. She didn't do a TPO. She didn't do 3, 4, free. None. This last time either. So, she did at least do the urine. That came out clean. But that's because I asked her to. Because my kidneys are the one time band camp, the one doctor, I fired her. If she had done the urine panel, she would have noticed that my kidneys were, I had a full-blown fucking kidney infection going on. Something bad was happening. Right? Which they don't. They're just negligent and they just... Anywho. So, I've got the GLP-1. I do not know what kind of a GLP-1 it is. I don't know if it is the Ready pens. I don't know if it's a vial in the little syringes. I don't know if it's drops. I don't know what it is. Right? It's up in my mom's refrigerator right now. I will pick it up sometime this weekend. We will go from there. And there. And pray that it works. That's all I can say. I don't need appetite control. Appetite is, that is the one thing that, I've kind of trained myself over the years. I've never been a breakfast eater. I like breakfast food. So I want bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits for dinner kind of person. I'm not a big pancake person. I'm not a big biscuit person. I make them good, but I'm not a big eater of them, right? I don't like cakes. I don't like cookies. I don't like, sweets in that regard. I'm not a big dessert type of person. If I'm going to do dessert, it's likely going to be fresh cut pineapple, kiwis. I like grapes. I like green ones. Um, grapefruits, little cuties. I like those little cutie oranges. Not a big apple fan. If I do apples, I gotta cook them. Peaches. And very rarely do I do peaches. Strawberries are big. I used to buy like 2 quarts of those every week. I have blueberry bush. That's about how many blueberries I actually would eat in a month, is what I get off of that bush, which is probably 10. I have raspberry bushes in the backyard. I tell the neighbors pick at will because my mom has blackberries up north. She gives me bowls full of them. I've got a couple of canes out there, but they don't produce enough to... Anyway. If I do yogurt, if I do dessert, it's more like yogurt. I sweeten it with, raw honey and like macadamia nuts and cacao nibs. I'll do vanilla in there because it makes it taste better. But I'm not a pastry person. I'm not running to the store and buying a whole thing of apple fritters and eating one a day kind of thing. I've literally lost my taste for sugars at all. I'm just not a sweet tooth. So, why it is that I have accumulated all this, it could be very well menopause. So it could be hormonal in all respects. But after talking to my sisters and the reasons why they had resorted, one doing the Ozempic, the other one doing the tirzepatide, I was like, you know what? Let's see. See what it does. If I lose, I lose. If I get back down to my size 6 and I'm happy with it, then we'll continue with a maintenance dose. If nothing happens at all in this next year, then I'll just cancel it and be like, you know what? I'm going to be stuck at 170 pounds until the day I die. And accept it and move on. But I have photos of... I just went through my Facebook a little bit ago and looked at my... It's like in 2014. Oh my God. I had the best body ever. Oh. What I would give to have that body again. And I was not skinny either. It was just healthy and toned. That's it. That's all I wanted. That's all I want now. So, anyway. So, that is the week. Since the funeral, that is the week. That is where I'm at. Karma has reared its ugly head. Yay. Thank you, Karma. Thank you. Well, they've been dropping hints. What happened to the one job? The pump fucking exploded. Another one, God, what was it? I can't remember. There's so much shit that happens during the week that that one, I was just like, ha 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 ha, and went on my merry way. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it's been sprinkling on them. It's dropping hits. Yeah, keep it up, motherfuckers. Big Bang's coming. Yeah, it came. And I was literally doing the fucking happy dance. Looked like some contemporary something or other from a hip-hop club. Yeah, I was... Anyway, yay! Fuck you, motherfucker. Anyway, so, y'all have a great weekend. I'm just sitting here trying to get my thoughts together. Yeah, what inspired me? and a lot of this, and y'all need to watch him. Yeah, if you're following me, you know, I'm not monetized for this. Other people are, you know, because I have a full-time job, and this is my therapy. So someone might learn from what I talk about. But yeah, it's concrete life. Jacob Whalen, he had another video he just put out. He was talking about something else the other day where I kind of did a spin-off of a video. It was on my way to one of the plants, and I was in the truck. This afternoon, I got a notification for something he had done, and he was talking about how people are self-isolating. Yes. And part of the reason why I self-isolate is because the energies of large groups, and like I don't do them very often, like group rides and things like that. I don't do them really anymore. I've done one in like 6 years. Seriously. I went out with a couple of friends once last year. Maybe the year before. I don't know. Not often. I'm going to do one in June for a friend for a memorial ride type of thing. But like just going out to like concerts and getting out on my bicycle and going and, you know, riding, you know, Greenway or, you know, whatever. I don't get out. I don't do anything. I don't want to be around people. Once I get done with my job and go grocery shopping, that is the most human interaction outside of my job that I actually get is at the grocery store or the gas station. Like I got home today and it's like I gotta force myself out of this house to mow the fucking grass. See, I should have mowed the grass when I got home, because the storm is supposed to come, and I've been watching the radar. It was supposed to be here already. Not a stitch of fucking rain. And I'm praying this thing bypasses us. So, first thing in the morning, the ground stay dry enough. I can get out here and mow this shit, get it trimmed up. Enough. Yes, it's everything is hyper-stimulating. The world in itself is hyper-stimulating. Everything is at your fingertips. Nobody has to leave the house anymore. I can buy my clothes from Amazon, have that shit delivered. I can have my groceries delivered. I can have food. You know, not just pizzas anymore. I can do Uber Eats. I don't have to leave the house. It is, the world, in a sense, has become agoraphobic. Now, the reason why I isolated was trying to put my emotions and my sensories back in check. The trauma that I had gone through just spun my internal energies out of control 3 years ago. And this is my outlet to discuss this stuff, because I only have like one friend who can endure listening to me for any extended period of time, right? And she's down in Texas. I don't see her. We got to talk on the phone, and I'm sure her brain wants to explode by the time she gets off the phone with me once a month. But my mother doesn't have the attention span capacity. She's very fucking ADD. She's worse than me. And she has stories. Lots of them. So you be telling her something. Oh, did I ever tell you about the time? And then she'll go on. And on and on and on and on. And it's like, you're not helping me. I need to talk about this stuff. I don't need to know about your experience. I need you to listen to me for now. I'll listen to you after I'm done. She can't do that. Sisters can't either. Yeah, they all got stories. Anyway. So, anywho. I kind of went on a story, and one of the guys was listening to me on the phone because we were talking. Like, I had him on speaker, right? And we were talking about something that, you know, job, whatever, riding back, work, whatever. One of the dude that had the stuff that was beating off the big balls on his truck. Anyway. we were talking, and I got in a road rage thing because I had some dude like pacing me, and I needed to get over because the right lane was closed, right? And I called him the C word, and he's like, "That's funny as fuck." The cunt calling somebody the cunt. And I said, I use it in the way the British use it. And he's like, "What's that?" I said, like, nefarious, you know, asshole, right? Deceptive, nefarious asshole is, you know, kind of like that kind of person. And he was like, "Oh, that's funny as hell," because there's times that I've literally referred to myself as that, you know, to certain people. It's like I walk out of the room, it's like the cunt has spoken, and I walk out. You know, that I have that kind of mannerism. And everybody gets it because they know that I'm military, right? Military is, you know, like ingrained up here. So anyway, that's the funny of this whole conversation. But yeah, I got onto that, and I was like, have you ever seen, I said, they use this word a lot in this one movie. I said, have you ever seen the movie Snatch? And he was like, I think so. I said, it's about a diamond heist and a dog that eats this 500 fucking carat diamond. He's like, I don't know. I think so. I said, go look it up and watch it. But yes, that's how I use it to refer to that type of a person. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, but that is about the stem of my story. My mom's stories are long. Very long. Focused on one topic. I try to simplify all mine into like clips. You know, so you're getting the whole week's worth in a, you know, what probably turn out to be a 40-minute video, but there's 7 different stories in here, and you can sit there and laugh about them, or, you know, follow along, and it's like, oh shit, what happens next? Yeah. Oh, I made chicken soup too. So I had chicken carcasses. So I got the crock pot out, got the water in, cut up the celery, cut up the onions, cut up the carrots, put the damn carcasses in there, added water, turned that fucker on, and now I have chicken broth. It's still cooking. And eventually, sometime tonight, I'm going to grab the jars, I'm going to strain off all the liquid, get it in the jars, and I'm going to go, and then I'm going to gorf out on a fucking colander of shit, pick out all the fucking bones. That's my Friday evening. And then I'm going to get everything sealed up, put in the water bath, or the pressure canner, whichever one I feel, you know, froggy with working with. And we are going to can that and get it ready to put in the pantry for future use. Might bring one to my mom. She will love it. Because it's homemade, sort of. So yeah, there's my week. I don't know how yours has been. I hope everybody's had a good week. But yeah, I've had a pretty good fucking week. So, take care. Be safe. Pray for each other. Have a good one.